Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the HolligsWorthless program. This will be for Wednesday, June 5th. No co-host, no cocaine, no Jack the Ripper, no co-host at all. But I have a guest. My guest, buddy of mine that I met. I know what I'll mention where we met after this. But you are co-producer of This Week Sucks Tonight.
Everything. I co-produced the whole city.
What was the show that you just ended? You had a great run.
Literally the worst show ever.
Literally worst show ever. The Genuine Show.
Genuine, which I'm posting for right now.
Yes, Mike
frantically.
Turner. Mike Turner, he's doing his social media game.
Yep.
Which we were just talking about, and I was like, I want to get into it right away. So you can keep typing, and I'll set it up.
So I got this.
We were talking about how we just the social media game in general, and like how we both are like we dread it, but you got to do it, and you got to check in and daily. And now, have you? I'm like it's January 1st. That was my New Year's resolution. Was I got to post every day.
Okay.
And I've said this on the podcast, and I said this to Kev, my buddy Kev on stage, who you called Kevon.
Kevon. I see. I read it like literally.
Kevon stage.
Yeah, Kevon stage. I swear I can't not see it like that.
Hello, Kevon.
Hello, Kevon.
But I told him I was like, I'm trying to learn from him and Tony Baker to hear. They all have.
Baker's one of the best.
Oh yeah.
Trevor Wallace.
Yeah, Trevor. Trevor blew up with the AirPods thing, and now he's fucking killing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm nowhere near their level of like it's still uncomfortable for me, like the whole thing of like just sitting there talking like on a split screen of something.
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I talk, so I do a lot of my filming is like just on the iPhone, and it's the face forward camera. So I am looking at myself on it's all weird. And like, it's so funny because we are so, as stand-up comedians, so like confident in our perspective on things, and we present our ideas to so many people all the time in a very vulnerable way, like in an even more vulnerable way than that probably. But like when you videotape it, you're like, this is stupid.
Like
I'm not showing this to anybody.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucking. And I remember the first time I did one. I told Kev, I was like, well, I posted my stupid video today. And Kev even goes, he's like, it's going to feel weird at first. He's like, you just got to do it, get in the rhythm. And it's weird. Like, I don't know if you feel this, but I feel like I'm still trying to find my voice in social media.
It's 100%. And I think that's a very fair comparison to how we've both found our voice on stage.
Yeah.
And even continuing to find your voice on stage, which is a crazy way to think about it too. Because, I'm 7 years in, and there's still things that I'm working on and like levels that you need to get to on stage. But in the video thing, we're so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's just very weird that we as comedians sometimes feel uncomfortable with it when we have gone through this whole process doing stand-up comedy already.
Yes.
But it's a different muscle for sure. It goes back to being that initial feeling of being uncomfortable on the open mic for the first time.
Yep.
But it is necessary. I was definitely influenced by the people that you mentioned. Tony Baker is one of the best, but Bert too. Bert Kreischer is a great example of every weekend he's always doing, usually for his tours, he's always got a video. And so I started doing the videos actually with the shows you mentioned, literally the worst show ever we had going for a while. And I don't know, I have a pretty good brain to just like make quick, they're kind of skits, but also they're really just promotional.
Right.
But you're just throwing jokes out there.
Yeah.
And I was able to sink my teeth into that with literally the worst show ever, and we all collectively started making ads for every show.
Okay.
There was a little bit more like a big video, like 2 to 3 minutes.
Now, real quick, I want to stay on the literally the worst show ever. What was the theme of this show?
So I would call it, if you could think of Saturday Night Live with a through line.
Okay.
So with the story having a through line.
Oh,
so
okay.
all the sketches were cohesive. So we would have, the concept really was Anwar Newton was the host, and then we would really throw a wrench. Every night, every show he would intend to run a very professionally run comedy show, and every single show something threw a wrench in it. So one time the first one was like we double booked a game show. So there's a game show going on during the comedy show. We've had for Black History Month, they booked a DJ that they thought was black, but it ended up being me, a white DJ from Boogie Down Boise. It was a Jewish guy named DJ Oxcord. And so like we've been able to play with a lot of stuff. So that was kind of the theme, and but it was a sketch show, and then we would bring up stand-up comedy from all over. We had great names, I'm trying to think, Dean Del Rey did the first one, and then Dave Ross, Chappelle Lacey did the last one. We were able to get some really cool names on there.
What made you guys decide to stop it or end it?
It was, we're all doing, so it started with Anwar, Dan Thompson, and then it expanded to myself, Chappelle Lacey, Charles Angle, and Jesse Johnson were kind of the core 6 people that were heavily involved throughout the whole thing, along with a live band, which is a lot.
Yeah.
So, and even to touch on that, the live band, the one of the better musicians within the band, this piano player, Greg Diaro, he ended up started touring with people. So now we're out of a piano player, right? Chappelle Lacey, if you don't know his name, you should look him up. He's doing great things in L.A. He moved to L.A. and is doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Jesse Johnson moved to L.A. is doing a bunch of stuff, working on the Corden show and stuff like that. And then Charles Angle moved to New York. So,
who, by the way, hosted for me this last weekend.
Really?
He's great.
Great comedy. And he's doing an awesome show in New York now, too. So he's already out there hustling and stuff. So we've got all these people that are leaving town. And we continue to write through that because Google Hangs and stuff, you can still meet with people. But we're all doing so much, which is really a testament to all of our individual work ethics, too, that it's really hard to – it was a very large production. Like for the past 4 years, every Saturday, I wouldn't say every Saturday, but I would say 85% of the Saturdays in my life for the past 4 years have been spent in a writer's room writing for that show for like 4 or 5 hours.
Jesus.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's because we all have day jobs, so you can't sit there every day and write.
And you have other shows going on that are that take as much work and are as successful.
It's crazy. So it was a lot. It was very rewarding when every show was done. You might have been stressed throughout the process, but like once the show was done, it was like that was one of the coolest. Like we just did this whole thing.
People loved it.
Yeah, it was a great show. So it was cool to really do, and it also added a lot of experience for me as far as like we made a writer's room.
Yeah.
There's no writer's room in Phoenix. We made one.
That's fucking great.
So it was cool to do that, booking stuff. You learn a lot, and it was a good experience. And also, I mean, the Black Album was Jay-Z's last album. You never know, you know what I'm saying? But also, he made 7 more, so you never know. We could always come back.
Now, I remember, I'm trying to remember where we met, like the first time we met.
I want to say it was at House of Comedy, but I don't know. It could have also been at, it wouldn't have been at Big Pine. I think I already knew you at Big Pine.
I don't think it was House of Comedy.
I don't know.
I remember like where we really like, I guess, became better buddies or whatever was, I was coming out here. I was staying with Richie, and he was like, "Hey, these guys, Mike Turner and Anwar, they got this show. This Week Sucks Tonight."
Yes.
And I was like, I know. I was like, I think I know Mike. Anwar, I don't think I met. And so he's like, yeah, you go up and they kind of shit on you, and then Richie was like, oh, do this inside joke about some Phoenix booker it'll kill.
Yeah.
And I was like, you sure? He goes, yeah. I go, all right.
Yeah.
So I just went up there and I did it, and like I think Anwar laughed and was literally the only person laughing. Yeah. And then I just started shitting on Richie. I was like,
which is great
fucking advice, Richie, you fuck. And then and so for the people listening, the show This Week Sucks Tonight, or was it last?
This Week Sucks Tonight.
This Week Sucks Tonight. How would you describe this show? It's such a unique thing.
I would say it's really, at its core, it's our take on late night television that we have been able to really make our own, which is an important thing in anything you do, because I don't think we're it's not by itself an original idea. We're really trying to do late night news stuff, but we've really put our perspective on it. And so Anwar is a black dude from Baltimore. I'm a white dude, grew up in Cincinnati. We have different perspectives, but we also have comparable upbringings, and we vibe on a lot of different same wavelengths as far as our perspective towards certain things, so it works. But him being black, me being white, we definitely tackle like race issues very hard. My perspective on the show is a little bit more hardcore conservative,
right?
But also not a Trump conservative, a Bush conservative, which is the best conservative. And
now that's a character though, right?
It's a character that sometimes you could argue my true voice comes through quite a bit in there.
Really?
A little bit. I mean, I definitely I'm questioning 9/11 a lot on that show and in real life. But with that being said, we tackle race issues through that lens, and we're also able to tackle like socioeconomic issues in a very unique way too, and talk about poor people, talk about wealthy people, make fun of them. From my perspective, Anwar kind of always has the scapegoat of being a little bit more like he rents, I own, right? So it's a really cool show. And then we also bring comics up to what you experienced. And when we bring the comics up, we also are on stage.
Yes.
And we fuck with you.
Yes.
And we try to do it in a very positive way. We try to create this wall of comedy. But some people can't ride the wave. And
yeah, that last one I did. So I don't know if I won't say who, but so the last one you were at Stand Up Live. I don't know where I was at, but you were like, yeah, come through, and I was like, awesome. And then you had a guy that is from LA that was featuring for Ryan Sickler.
Okay.
You don't remember?
When was this?
This was
recently.
This is maybe. Well, I'll just tell you this: the guy that was the feature for Ryan Sickler, he walked off, and you said it's the first time somebody ever.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
I know who it was.
Yeah.
So we're doing that one. Mention names.
I don't care. Well, I guess we
Josh
can.
Nassar,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Who is a good buddy and a friend of the scene too. And I think there was some artistic approach to that too. I think there was some
tap dancing.
There was some Andy Kaufman in there too.
Oh, dude, I was he was like on stage. So for those listening or watching, the stand-up, you're doing your set, and then like you guys will interject at different times.
Yeah, we'll pop in.
Yeah, and it can, like, you know, if you're for whatever reason, it can mess up a comic's rhythm, possibly
100%.
Or you can, or it doesn't. You know, it's like the Benson interruption a lot.
I think a lot of good. What I always tell comics is, with the approach towards the show is, be funny and have a backbone.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to just stay in your lane. I guess that's bad advice too. Don't stay in your lane, really. Like, ride the wave. That's what I tell people is like, we're creating this wave, and you just got to surf this thing.
Yeah.
And if you catch the barrel of it, it's crazy.
Oh,
it's
dude.
fucking nuts. Because I've seen people like be like, that was the nuttiest thing I've ever experienced. We all just had fun up there. Everybody's laughing. But there are certain people that get in their bag about it, and yeah, they're gonna bite it every time, and they're getting that undertow hit real hard.
With that same night, when I was up, I did a joke. I want to get back to the social media thing too, but this will all tie in. But a joke about how you can't pluralize black. Like when you say the blacks or blacks, it sounds just weird from a white dude.
Joke, yeah.
And when I'm doing that, I say the joke, and it's like, and it always is like, it can be hit or miss. But I love the joke, and there was a dude in the audience that was like an NFL player. I don't know if you remember.
Could have been my buddy Devin.
I don't know, but he was huge.
Yeah.
And you were like, and then he at one point stood up, and I was like, Jesus. And we're like bouncing off that. You're like, that guy's going to fucking murder you and shit like that. It was great. And then.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Those moments.
Yeah.
Like, we create those moments on the fly. And sometimes I'm adding perspective of the audience that the comic itself might not get, and then you're getting that interaction, and then it just creates this chaos. I think the best moments in that show, and This Week Sucks Tonight, are the chaotic moments where everything is funny. If you're listening even to everybody individually, everything is going on, it's pretty funny. But it's just like this like energy that you don't get in a typical stand-up show.
And then every single show is its own unique show. It'll never be repeated.
We write a new show every week.
Well, not only that, but with the stand-up too.
And yes, 100%. Nobody will have the same set that they've ever had. Ever again.
And when Josh was on stage, like you're doing the show, you're interrupting at different times, and he was like, from the stage, he goes, I don't like this. I don't like this. I'm done. And then he started and I was like I was like, dude, fucking finish your set.
Yeah.
Just have fun. And he's like, no, I'm bored. And I was like, you fucking idiot.
That was great. There was somebody else on that night that was great too. I forget. That was a cool night though. I love nights like that too, because the audience sometimes is like, well, that was crazy. Like, the audience walks away, to your point, and they will see something every single week that is not duplicatable.
Yeah.
And I think that's duplicatable.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is.
I would not be able to say that word.
Duplicatable sounds weird.
Duplicatable.
Duplicatable. Indubitably.
Indubitably duplicatable.
Duplicatable. And that's my first album.
That's
Indubitably duplicatable. Ooh. Indubitably duplicable. All right, now we're done.
Yeah.
And but I always love that in comedy. I like watching. You know, there's a reason I really like Rory Scovel's always cool to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can watch him a whole weekend if you're working with him, and every set will be different.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the great Brody Stevens.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I watched him, you know, probably upwards to like 50 times total. And yeah, he had some of the same jokes, but it was never the same experience. And audience members really do gravitate towards that because they understand that they're seeing something that will never be, duplicated. And it is.
Yeah, it's not duplicatable.
It's not duplicatable. And but there is something to that. Like, it's like going to see a live concert and seeing them. You know, you think they're freestyling, but they might be doing that same verse another time. But, like, there's moments in concerts that, you know that won't happen. You saw it in L.A., and that's not going to happen when he does that show in Portland or whatever. Or something like that. So
we had this last weekend. There was a few shows where we had some crazy. I was talking about OK Cupid. Yep. And this guy, it's in the setup. I say something, blah, 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 OK Cupid. And one guy starts dying laughing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and everybody's like, what the fuck? And so I'm like, why are you laughing? And he says OK Cupid. And I was like, yeah. And he keeps laughing. Come to find out, he thought I said OK Cuban. Oh, and he was even saying, he was like,
which also isn't that funny anyway.
Yeah, but he was like, he's like, they're building the wall, man. And he said that, and so then I was like, I don't think the wall's for the Cubans,
Yeah, right.
But it was it was just like went on like a 2 or 3 minute riff with this guy.
Yeah, when you riff like that, it's great.
Yeah,
it's so good. I love that shit. So and it's exciting to be able to do that every week. And on top of that, we've created another writer's room. Every Wednesday we write the show. And it is, the top of the show is a new 30 to 40 minutes every single week, depending on what the news is. We tap into this day in history type stuff too. But yeah, it's all new stuff.
Now,
it's crazy.
Do you actually, I talked to Anwar a little bit last night at a mic, and so I already know his thing. But do you have like aspirations to like be in a writer's room, to produce, or?
I see. I mean, I definitely see this show as being something that could be could catch fire, and that would be cool because we would have control over it, and it would be something that I've been a part of overseeing and stuff like that. So there's more control. I could also see it being pitched to LA, and then being like, "This is a great idea. We're gonna replace you two."
Yeah. That's the dude. That's like, because I have a show I used to do in. I actually had 2 shows I did in Seattle, and I would do them monthly. I had a show called. True Story, which, because comics always say, "Oh, true story."
Yeah.
And the idea was, I would open the show up. There would be 2 chairs on stage. A comic would do like 10 minutes of material, and then I would interview him right afterwards on what's the true story behind the joke.
Okay.
Is it what's true? What's bullshit? What did you leave out? And stuff
great
like
idea.
that. But I mean, LA, like Ari had his show, which is not the same, but
no.
And then Kevin Nealon kind of has something similar. So I just never did anything with it. Then I had another show called Burning the Light, which I said it was tough crowd mixed with Pardon the Interruption and Around the Horn.
Wow.
It was me, 4 comics, and we talk about race, politics, all that, and we would spend 5 minutes on a topic. At the 4-minute mark, a light would come on, be like, you got 1 minute to try and get your points in.
Yeah.
And then a buzzer, like an NBA buzzer, would sound, and we're moving on.
Wow.
And I did a couple shows at the Improv, and I was actually thinking about maybe trying to start it up again here in Phoenix. But that was one of the fears is like, you do it, and then somebody's like, "Oh yeah, dude, this is a dope idea. Kick rocks.
Yeah,
and we're gonna take your baby."
All of us are more talented and well established.
Yeah,
and we've also involved a woman, which you weren't able to do. So you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
I didn't even
exactly.
know. But that's definitely something that I aspired to. I guess it's not something that I aspired to definitely have to do in my future. The thing is, I know I can do that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do in Phoenix is I'm trying to be a Swiss Army knife. I'm trying to be able to know that I can do all these things. I can do stand up. I've been on the radio. I've done a podcast. I've produced multiple shows of different levels of complexity. A late night show and a show that you could probably categorize as sketch comedy or even like a television show with the through lines. I've done character work, so I've done acting and stuff like that. I've created multiple characters on Little the Worst Show Ever that were wildly popular too within the scope of the show. And then I've able to do television here too on NBC.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so like I just want to be able to know that I can do all these things and do them well and whatever. Then they all kind of make me happy in different ways. And if one of them pops off, you just got your hand in so many different, it's like never put, all your eggs in one basket. I'm definitely spreading the eggs.
What would your ideal scenario be? Like, but to give you an example, like when people ask me that, I always say, like, before his cartoon, I love Bill Burr's career.
I thought you were going to say Howie Mandel. Before Bobby's World.
Yeah,
I love
but I'm
Howie
like, he does the best rooms. He's respected by comics. Audiences love him. And he does some acting, but it's usually like bit parts.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, that'd be perfect. And so what would your dream scenario be?
I think my dream scenario might be something with, I really like this TV stuff because I also am able to incorporate my knowledge of sports in it too. I really do love sports quite a bit. That's been one of the more interesting things that I've been doing lately. So that would definitely be a dream scenario, like a Rob Riggle, something like that, to be able to do that, or like a Rob Riggle but a man on the street type perspective. Because I just go to all these different sporting venues or sporting events out here in Phoenix, and we're able to really make something out of nothing.
Right.
And imagine what I could be able to do with a good production team and stuff like that. So I'd love to be able to do that, travel, and on top of that, be able to, while I'm traveling, do stand-up and on the side.
Who's your teams, by the way?
So I'm from Cincinnati, so I was born into Bengals, Reds, Bearcats. And then I went to Arizona State, so I'm definitely a Sun Devils fan through and through, too.
All right. I want to go back on the talking back about the social media thing. Do you, here's something I don't know if you say I struggle with it, but it's like, so... I feel like I have my voice in stand-up. I have my style or whatever. And then, like we were talking about on social media, we're trying to find our voice on social media. Well, I've been doing a lot of not a lot, but I've been doing some shows opening for Kev, and all of his Kevon, Kevon Fred Rocks, but Kev now it's like in my fucking head now. But Kev's like, so a majority of Kev's fans are like Christian. They love clean comedy, and when I'm opening for him, I'm doing like anywhere from like 20 to 30 squeaky clean in a church.
Wow,
these are black churches that I'm like, and they're great. The audiences are great.
I'm sure.
But so then it's like it gets in my head because I've definitely gotten followers from that. And so now I'm like, okay, so I'm doing a social media thing. I swear, and I was raised by my dad's a longshoreman, played pro football. I curse in my natural talk, but now I'm like doing a thing and I'm like, oh fuck, should I not swear on this because out of respect for these new followers? But then I'm like, but what about the people that were?
You got to be authentically yourself.
That's the thing.
I do think though I'm authentically myself to a degree, but also I found that as I continue to do it, I don't like swearing too much on social media because it deters certain people. It's so unnecessary, right? Is it like is the curse worth it, right? No, dude, first of all, I agree, right? Because sometimes it's fucking funny, and sometimes it's necessary and all that shit. But like if you're just like promoting a show, like the video I just did, like I think I said "damn" on it, and I was like, should I delete that? I literally thought about that, but
did you keep it?
Yeah, I kept it. But like. I don't try to swear as much on certain ones because also you can't promote Instagram post that has curse words.
Oh, really?
So that's something that's interesting. Yeah. So we run into that on This Week Sucks when we try to do a good video. We have to either go edit it or chop it down to where no cursing, but really, to what you're really saying too is you have to be authentically yourself.
Yeah.
And if that is a heavy amount of cursing, then fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But because at the end of the day, if they come from Kev on stage to you, and then they stay even with your cursing, that's a real motherfucker.
Yeah.
If they bail because you were cursing, I mean, was that somebody that was really going to fuck with you on a real level anyway?
True.
So you kind of weed them out that way. But
I had one person that I know definitely came over from Kev that I posted a clip from a podcast that I think is the greatest road story ever. Did I tell you about this one? I think I did, about the black feature, the white headliner.
Maybe. I don't know. It's not ringing a bell.
Really?
No.
Okay. I told, like, dude, this is my favorite road story of all time. And I'll tell you the story and then I'll tell you what happened. So, black feature, white headliner.
Yep.
The black feature had a bit where he would, like, in his set, he kept saying throughout his whole set, I'm that N-word. I'm that N-word. And then he would end his set, I'm that N-word. Good night.
Yeah.
Killed. Did great, right?
Yeah.
The white headliner would go up and be like, first thing he would say is, hey, give it up for that N-word.
Oh, no.
But the audience would laugh, right?
Yeah, that is funny.
Everybody laughed. Everybody loved it, except the black feature.
Oh, no.
So black feature did that joke Thursday, did it both shows Friday, didn't do it Saturday. Headliner didn't watch the set.
Oh, no.
So white headliner goes up having not seen the set and just goes, give it up for that N-word. No context.
Oh, my God.
No, dude, it is my favorite story of why you should always watch. Yeah. So I posted that story, and somebody that I'm sure was a follower that I picked up somewhere, but it was like, how is that funny? And I'm like, do I have to explain why this is funny?
Yeah, you're out.
And so they unfollowed me.
Group.
Yeah, I was just like, all right. I'm like, it's
when you lose somebody like that, it's like,
yeah. But it's dude. Sometimes, like, my whole thing on, like, trolls on YouTube, like, I say anybody can comment on my videos and you can say whatever you want as long as you have a profile.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't have a profile, then I'll just delete it.
Right.
Probably. But if you have like, I was at this writing gig and some guy was, I don't know, he was calling me fat or whatever. And so I looked at his profile, had a profile picture, and it was connected to his Google fucking thing and everything. So I spent 8 hours at this writing job. I just shitting on him. And then like, it was getting bad to where he's like, come on, man. And this and that. I'm like, oh, dude, I got nothing to do. I'm good. We can do this all day.
Yeah.
And I was like, the beauty of this is at any point I can just delete your comment and I still have all these views from you. So keep coming back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like since I talked about at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I got to post one thing a day. And since then I've gained, which is so small compared to Kev and them, but like I've gained like, I think like 1,500 followers.
It does happen pretty quick. I've been much more consistent this year, over the past year with it, and I would say every couple of weeks I'm gaining 100. I'm only like, I probably started last summer at like, I remember breaking 1,000 was a big deal. Now I'm almost at 2, and.
Isn't it so crazy though that we're both like, because I'm only at like 4,500, but and then you see like, Kev has 3 million across social media.
Trevor Wallace has. I met Trevor Wallace at 40K. He now has 260K or something like that. And I only met him like 9 months ago.
It's so crazy.
Somebody could have had a baby in that time.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he gained that many followers. But so it is. There's a level of consistency that you definitely need to be able to keep getting that traction. And it's interesting. I mean, it's staying in front of people. The video stuff has been good. I really actually sometimes I'll do things that I don't intend on it being a part of my repertoire, but like I remember this Genuine show. I was just trying to figure out how to do it, and I remember I had either recently worked with Bird or I've been watching Bird a lot, and he's doing these videos before his ship. And I was like, I'm going to just do a video. I'm going to do a selfie-style video. It's so easy. You throw a joke at the beginning, a joke on the back end, and, I throw some music on there. But that's how I do every Genuine show. So now it keeps me, I have to do it. So I'll leave work and go home at lunch and record it in my backyard. And it just makes you have to do these certain things. I have the artwork comes out, and
who does the artwork?
Anwar Newton does all the artwork. So he does all the artwork for This Week Sucks, and then he does the Genuine stuff too, and it's great stuff. It's really sharp Photoshop stuff. People are always like, "This is amazing Photoshop stuff." So that's been great, and but it's a level of consistency for your audience to be able to almost be programmed, like they know what to expect, when to expect it, and you create a schedule for them. It's weird, but, they don't even really. Somebody commented not too long ago. I think it was the last Genuine show I did. She was like, "I know it's Tuesday when you post this." And then the next day after every show, so it's tonight after the show, I'll take a picture and I'll post it tomorrow with the whole lineup, everybody that's hung out to the end of the show. And she said, "I know it's Wednesday when you do this." And that was like, I was like, damn.
You're like, okay, it's working.
It's working. Yeah. Like, I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'd rather be your calendar.
I do every Wednesday. I do a Worthless of the Week, and like if I haven't posted one, I'll get hit up, be like, hey, where's the Worthless of the Week?
Yeah.
And because this is called the HolligsWorthless program, so I always do a Worthless of the Week or a Worthy. My Worthless this week's gonna be fucking Drake. I can't stand Drake, dude.
I love Drake.
Oh God. I mean, I'm just talking on the sports level. He is the most annoying fucking guy. You love him? You love it.
He's put in Toronto, that's his city. What would you expect him to do?
He's a fucking jinx.
Okay, so people are pissed that I saw a great perspective today. Is like people are pissed that he has spent the whole playoffs on the sideline for the Toronto Raptors. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors, it cost you $100,000 to sit on their sideline.
I don't give a fuck about that.
So fuck those people. Those are the worst people in the world. You know that. Those are people ruining the country.
No, I hate him fucking talking shit like he's on the court playing. That shit, he's in the back in the lockers.
It's great.
Fuck him. Oh, dude, he's the fucking worst.
It's so entertaining, though.
He is a troll, though. I mean, I give him credit for that.
It's wildly entertaining. I'll tell you what. If somebody told me at the beginning of the year, and I had no context of what was currently happening, that it was going to be the Toronto Raptors versus the Golden State Warriors, I would say that would be boring. I would assume that it would be a sweep from the Golden State Warriors, and I would probably only watch maybe 1 or 2 games because you'd already know the outcome. What he has done has made this series wildly entertaining and almost has hyped it in a way where McGregor and Mayweather are like, it's almost like a big prize fight. Like, he's hyped it. He's talking shit outside. First of all, they all him and Draymond Green went to dinner the other night.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they're homies.
Well, I know Draymond was like, he's like, you the scuffle. He's like, that's not a scuffle or whatever.
Yeah, I know what a scuffle is.
Yeah, fucking these dummies. I wanted to ask how did you and Anwar meet and hook up and come up with, let's say, like, hey, let's do these shows.
So we met, like, I think just on a patio at a bar show, and we're just vibing, and we definitely clicked pretty quickly as far as you know how sometimes you just get those people where it's like, oh, I think that's funny, and you think everything I'm saying is funny, and we're vibing pretty well. Like, you're just kind of riffing on off stage pretty well. And in comedy, I think that's, I don't know. I was a lone wolf for a number of years, and so I was just doing my own thing because I didn't trust anybody to really work as hard as me or kind of be able to keep up with me. And then we linked up, and he's been able to definitely keep up and help with the creation of multiple shows, and I was able to put my 2 cents on the shows that he's created too, because he started literally the worst show ever, and it was a couple shows in where he realized that they wanted to switch it up, and I was able to really come in there and just add a different element. I started adding characters to it.
Who was your favorite character?
I started, the first one I did was a recurring character, was Randy Buckshank. He's a registered nurse from Lickskillet, Tennessee. He hates most black people. He is in love with his cousin Larry, who's a transgender, and there's a lot of Larrys.
Yeah, I see.
I like that one. I liked DJ Oxcore was one of my most popular ones because I took that character and then I actually DJ'd a whole set at Zia Records. And then I created Barack Obama, who is a white senior. I have to say he's white, but he's not Barack. He's Barack Obama. He's related, like third cousins with Barack Obama. BROKK, Barack Obama, and super progressive male cheerleader. That had that was having an end of the year party with Carole King at it, and then who was the other one that I really liked? Morty Rayburn is this Hollywood style kind of you could call. I don't even know. He might be like a Jewish dude that thinks he's Italian. You know those guys?
Yeah.
Like Andrew Dice Clay type guy.
Yeah. Mike Favorman.
Yeah, and he was I would say, heavy influence. Phil Hartman doing Frank Sinatra was kind of the voice I attacked.
Okay.
And really up in your face, had a couple gold chains, and had the worst Hollywood ideas ever. Like, all his Hollywood ideas were like films that already were made. So those were great characters that I was able to do. But I added that flavor to the show. And also in the writer's room, I pride myself being able to be that punch-up guy. They can write the whole skeleton of it. And I definitely feel like I was able to take that and be like, all right, well, this is the joke.
Yeah.
This is the joke. And not to say that everybody else wasn't writing jokes and stuff, but like, it definitely was a really strong skill set of mine. And so that was kind of where I came in and elevated the show, and it helped. It worked. We worked well together on that, and from that, we had success doing literally the worst show ever. Is the hottest show in the city, and the owner of Crescent Ballroom had asked Anwar if he could do something on the late night Thursday. They wanted to keep foot traffic after the shows. What do you think about doing a late night show in the side room? And really, I remember I was there with him that night, and he said it was kind of a passive yes. It was definitely not a no. And a week later, he texted me, and he's like, hey, they already put that show up on on the schedule. We got to do it next week. Can you co-host with me and try to help me, create it? And I was like, fuck it. And we created This Week Sucks Tonight out of necessity, really.
Yeah.
And we knew it was going to be kind of a late night thing with the PowerPoint stuff, but it kind of rolled from there. And it's all kind of just happened naturally, which is cool.
And the Genuine show is just a showcase show?
It's a showcase show. The city doesn't have enough of them, and I want to be able to put a platform on where people can aspire to get on that show.
Yeah.
I don't let everybody on it, and when I let some of these younger guys on, I only give them 5. I'll let some more veteran comics do 8. I'll let much more seasoned comics close it out with 12, 15. And so, yeah, showcase show. I know the owners. They were fans of me, and I worked with their brother, one of their brothers, and we linked up, and they were like, well, it's a new owners, downtown Phoenix, local owners, and that's been great. And so, yeah, doing everything.
Now, when you were talking about punching up stuff and like tagging stuff up, do you find this I find for myself? Are you one of those people that you can tag up people's jokes, but when it comes to your own, it's like the hardest to tag your own shit up?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's I could definitely, obviously we're both good comedians though, so like it works out. Maybe we're probably only almost overly critical of our material because I think that we punch up our shit already. Can it be punched up more? That's probably an arrogant thing to say, but I don't know. Not from my perspective. I've punched up.
Mine definitely can.
Right, and mine definitely can too. Mine can be tweaked and stuff like that. But I know that when I hear somebody else say something that isn't the joke, but it's really close to the joke, I see that so quickly.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's being able to understand context or whatever. That's why I'm good on This Week Sucks Tonight, too. Like, somebody will tell a joke, and I'll be able to be like, oh, well, the joke was this.
Yeah.
This is what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's why you didn't say too much when I was up there.
Yeah, right? All your stuff was so polished. And or sometimes people just say sentences, and I was like, that wasn't a joke.
Yeah, it's so funny, too, because a person will be like, okay, one last joke, and then you'll be like, wait, that was it?
First joke. How about this is one first joke.
And now with that show, actually we'll focus on that show specifically. This Week Sucks Tonight. I mean, Josh, I don't know if it was a play up or anything, but have you ever had anybody that's gotten pissed at you guys? Or
oh yeah, they get in their feelings and stuff. We'll never book them again. Because it's like, why would this is early on the show, and I think people in the scene were really just figuring out what the fuck it was.
Okay.
But yeah, we definitely had somebody go up and really not enjoy it, and visibly and verbally talking about it on stage, how like this is stupid, and kind of attacked the show, attacked the idea of the show and stuff like that, and got off really in a pissy mood. And
was this Josh?
Yeah, no. But this is a local, and they've since left the scene. But I mean, at the end of the day, we were just like, well, we're not going to book you again. That was because
how did you handle
create humor?
Yeah, how did you handle that in the? How'd you handle that? Ruby's making a little appearance on camera.
Yeah, right.
How did you handle that in the moment? Like
in the moment, I was bothered because there's nothing to really create humor out of. Just give me a little meat on the bone.
Yeah. Now, how do you not be like? How do you stay in character and keep it light and not be like, hey, fuck face?
It's hard, dude. That's the biggest. The biggest thing that, like, literally the worst show ever with the characters taught me that I've been able to transfer over to This Week Sucks is really just staying in the
mindset.
Yeah, like the lens of the character.
Yeah,
and seeing everything through the eyes of that perspective is sometimes very challenging. But like, I know like recently we were at a festival and I was blowing everybody up. Once you got on stage, I had something about you. I was trying to do something, a physical comment about you, whatever you look like.
Yeah.
And this chick came up like 4 comics in, and she was in a wheelchair, and she was being assisted on stage, and they got the wheelchair. It was a whole process, right? Everybody's watching. And I'm sitting there like, I have to say something because I've already established that I say something about everybody.
Right.
So I have to say something.
Absolutely.
And she sat down, and I was like, everybody give it up for the Queen of Westeros. And everybody laughed. And then I went into this whole thing like, oh, is that a spoiler? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spoil the show that you already should have seen, all that stuff. But like,
and she handled it good?
And she came back with such heat that's when the show's great.
That's great,
when you serve it up, and then she comes back, and she checked me, and then I think she checked Anwar too, but she definitely said something to me. And then she rolled off like 7 straight good structured jokes.
Rolled off.
You said it, not me. And then I said something stupid too. I was like, how is the best stand up on the show sitting down? And she was like, never heard that before. And I was like, God damn.
That's great.
And she was 16 on top of that.
Oh wow.
And I had some really coarse things to say that I was so glad that she announced that she was 16 on stage too, because she didn't look 16. She was like, and she was very mature. Caroline Smith, actually, if you
shout out. Caroline
she's
Smith.
Such a good young comic. I think she lives in. I know this festival was in Raleigh. I know she lives around there. She's definitely North Carolina, but.
Dude,
but yeah, I had to say that.
Yeah,
I have to say this certain shit because it stays consistent with the show.
And also like. I'm of the mindset of like you're a comic and then you're whatever else you are. Mm-hmm. Like you're a comic, and I look at all comics as the same. So like you're a comic and then you're trans, or you're in a wheelchair, or you're a white woman, or whatever, and so like how I show affection or that I like somebody is the banter, the shitting on each other. Yeah. I remember I was at the Haha doing a mic, and there was a dude that was fucking blind that he'd gone up, and like we're sitting there after the show, and there's these 2 girls that were pretty young and pretty new in comedy, and they're just fucking will not shut up. And I said to the guy, I go, I bet you wish you were deaf too. And it's just fucking.
That's great.
And then we had one time at the Underground, I was hosting, and we had a guy that was a burn victim. Yeah. Like bad. And I was like, yeah, this guy's fucking. I said something about burning the light and fucking all this other shit, and like people would grow. I'm like, fuck you. He's a comic. He's He's
barely a civilian.
Dude, yeah. I was in Edmonton and I closed out their best comic with a day job. Yeah. And there was a guy that had like he had the walking sticks things. I don't know. I think he had palsy or something. Right. And so I went up,
like,
and I was
like, something about Mary.
No, I think it's great that somebody's still keeping prop comedy alive.
That's right. Yeah.
And he loved it.
Shit like that. Yeah. It is great. That's why I love that show. Because that's my favorite type of shit. And also, I've always been really good at it. I don't know if it was a defense mechanism growing up that I created. I know that I've always not liked. I wouldn't say I haven't liked being the butt of jokes. I don't like looking stupid. Yeah. Which are different things. Absolutely. Because I don't mind being the butt of a joke. If it's funny, it's like, that's funny shit. Yeah. Like, damn, you got me on that. But if you make me look stupid, I don't like that. And I think that my defense was always, if people tried to make me look stupid, I would clap back at them so quick with something. And I believe that was where a lot of it came from. And also, my father was very funny. My mother's very funny. So, like, I had the genes already. But that was the style of comedy that I definitely sharpened in my tool shed with, for sure.
Yeah, you play in the dozens.
Yeah, and it was great, and it worked for me throughout high school. Nobody really fucked with me. I mean, I remember I was like a freshman or sophomore in high school. I had some senior that was being mean to me. I made her cry by the end of it. Now, now do I regret that?
It was a girl.
It was a her. Yeah. Fuck that. Don't come at me. And that was.
I thought this was going to be like a big bully story. Like, had this linebacker that you're like her.
Oh, I've definitely capped on dudes too before too. I made them, definitely go home and talk to their mother about what happened at school with the words. But like, because I wasn't the biggest dude, I wasn't going to scrap too much. I definitely had people that had my back, but like, I wasn't going to get in a physical altercation. I'll get you with the mind,
right?
And I'll fuck you up so much that you don't even know that I made fun of you.
Now, with This Week Sucks Tonight, your character, like you said, you play like this conservative Republican.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever taken that as being you 100% off stage and had a problem with you?
Yeah.
Really?
But I think by the end of the show, people are finally like, well, once I'm off stage, I'm like, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Appreciate you, all this shit. And they're like, damn, I thought that's not you.
Well, the other thing too is it's like you're this character is like this, square Republican or whatever, but then you're dropping like Jay-Z references.
That's the crazy thing about it, right? Like, I also know so much hip hop knowledge too. And that's why it's so fun, because none of it really makes sense.
Yeah.
That isn't a real person.
Right.
But also that probably is somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
I was going to say that isn't a real person for you, but it is a real person.
Yeah, it is. Like, and that's why I like that perspective is like when I say the things about, like, one of the classic jokes from the beginning of the show, there was a black person talking about the black experience, and they were just saying like growing up black, blah blah blah, and I was just like, I get it. I've seen Moonlight. Like, I got Get Out in my queue, like, to encapsulate the entire perspective on black, the black experience in America. I've seen Moonlight, so like I get what you're going through. But I say that I think that is so funny, because that is such a perspective that somebody does have.
Right.
Like, they think that they understand the black experience because they saw Paid in Full growing up.
Right.
Or like, they saw a couple of Tupac movies. Like, so that's why I think that I love it so much. Like, one dude was talking about, my buddy Chappelle, I remember, was talking about slavery, and I was like, I've seen Glory. And we started humming, oh my Lord, 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 Lord. And it's wildly offensive if you really break it down. I'm doing. But man, is it funny as hell.
I mean, a lot of offensive stuff is the funniest shit. The stuff that you're just like, you should not be saying
because
this.
It's so, there's truth in it. Though.
Yeah.
There's this moment with everybody understands that what I'm saying isn't far from the truth. In fact, it might be the truest thing you've heard here on stage. And it's great. I love poking holes in the way people perceive things. And that's what we throw. We throw it all back at them. That's the race card, and then we'll do we'll talk about broke people and shit too, and it's good stuff. I love it.
Now, what with anybody that's like watching this or whatever wants to follow you or add to your social media following, what's your like Instagram and all that?
So yeah, at not Mike Turner. Mike Turner is a very popular name, so I had to do the not. Yeah. So at NOT Mike Turner. And then This Week Sucks Tonight, you can follow on Instagram at This Week Sucks Tonight, just all spelled out.
And do you have a website?
Working on it right now. I own TurnerComedy.com, and I got.
It's funny. That's a
good one to have.
Yeah, people I'm sure will think Ted Turner.
I'm thinking it's gonna be good.
That's great. Turner.
So I own TurnerComedy.com, and I'm trying to buy this Instagram handle. This dude is Michael Turner. It's just Michael Turner.
Yeah,
clean. He's got like 400 followers. I'm trying to get that. Dude. I messaged him, but he didn't. He doesn't. You know how you're like in the inbox?
Somebody has HolligsWorthless, just HolligsWorthless, so I had to do the HolligsWorthless program. Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it annoying?
Yeah.
I just want it.
Oh, dude.
And also, I'm going to put it to good use.
Well, I have Jay Hollingsworth and Big Irish J, and then a few other. I have a couple domains that I bought that like I don't even know what I'm going to do with them. Like I had, I'm Funny How.
Okay.
From Goodfellas, yeah. Yep. And then I own, which I know what I'm gonna do this again is I own jokeaweek.com.
Okay.
And ajokeaweek.com, which in 2013 I did every week I released me working out a new joke, and it was like the through line was building a new hour 1 week at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm about to start doing that again. That was one of the reasons why I don't want to be out here.
Look at what Andrew Schultz has been able to do.
Somebody told me he's doing something. What is he doing?
I mean, it's just so smart. He's controlling his comedy. He isn't giving it to, I mean, he tried to take his hour to Netflix and HBO and all the things that you do, right? I'm sure CISO and all that bullshit. And none of them wanted it. And his counter attack was to film the hour, but also release it in like 5-minute like chunks. So he just releases the joke. Yeah. You know, he doesn't release the whole set. He'll release each joke. And I don't know if you know him. His material is pretty chunky. It's good. I would say everything's about 3 to 5 minutes. But really good. One of the better joke writers out there. Doesn't care what the subject matter is. He will make a joke about it, which I love too. Gotcha. Super East Coast. But he's done that, and in controlling his material through his YouTube page, he's already gotten over like 1 million subscribers. He's getting 1 million views on most of his videos within first couple weeks. And but that's kind of he's really showing people what can be done if you trust your material enough. You're smart enough with it too. He's not a dumb person,
right?
But it's really interesting what he's been able to accomplish.
All right, yeah, that's I got to just fucking do this again. I did it for a year, and it was. I mean, it was like stressful because, you know, sometimes the well is dry, but you got to fucking, you'll be releasing stuff that, because the way I would do it is I would say, like, I would have a self-interview at the front. Yeah. Be like, this week I'm working on this joke. Here's the premise, blah, blah, blah. Then I would show multiple clips of me trying to work it out at different mics and maybe a show on the weekend. Yeah. And then I would close it out by like, this is what I like. This is what it needs improvement. You know, it'll be long or whatever. And
you'd be shocked how many people would attach themselves to that.
Though, yeah, no,
I mean, young comics that are people that aren't in comedy yet but love comedy. Yeah, the process of it. It's an interesting time to be a comic because people are more captivated by it than ever, as they should have been forever. It's a crazy thing. It's always been captivating, but we have access to tell them how crazy it is now.
Yeah, and I mean, fucking, you make your own thing. I mean, I look at Kev so much of like, for the longest, you know, I was thinking like, oh, you got to do this, and you know, to make it whatever making it is for each person. But then I look at Kev, that's pretty much done it all on his own. Like he built up his social media following. He does like 90 cities a year, one-nighters, sells them out.
That's right.
And he's been approached by like major agencies, and he's like, I don't need him.
Can't make more money than me.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking.
Does he have a manager?
No.
It's nuts. I'm about to go full-time comedy next month.
Oh, dude, congrats, brother. I appreciate it. Are you excited?
I'm excited.
What's been your day job?
Sales. And it's a big corporation bought us. Verizon bought us, and they finally were like, we're closing your office. Severance, all this shit.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be, but I've also been stacking money too. But it's an exciting time because I have that freedom, and I'm looking at people like that too. It's funny. I just started following him only a couple months ago. It might have been either through your post or I know Trevor Wallace knows him too.
Yeah.
And so I started following him and all those guys, and it's like, because I got people too. The one thing that I'm going to do when I go full time is I'm going to hit up all these cities. I'm going to put a post out and be like, any city that I can get 50 people in, I'll come to a show. Yeah. And I do right now have a good amount. I have 7 or 8 cities that I can go do. Right. I got some that I can get 100, 200 in, you know. So it's exciting to be able to start building myself up on an individual level, and then also take the show. We're taking the show This Week Sucks Tonight to the Comedy Store later this month. We're going to take it back east. We're probably going to start doing the Comedy Store much more regularly. That's great. So maybe having one of the hotter shows, you know, or I don't know. We got to still build it up, but like having a dope show in LA and not even living in LA. Because we sold out the first one.
Yeah, dude. I remember when you were talking about you did it in the belly room.
Yeah, so we sold 55 tickets, and then you know how the comics chill.
Yeah,
55 in that room is jacked.
Fucking on top of
the whole floor is packed.
Well, that's like. Do you know Tyler Smith?
No.
He has a show called The Dope Show.
I know that show.
Yeah, they did it at House of Comedy here, but he's like, he did it up in Edmonton, sold it out at the comic strip, and he does it like in different cities and sells it out. You know,
crazy.
And I mean, he lives in Seattle, and that's another thing is like,
you don't have to live in New York or LA,
dude. That's what I'm like. That's one of the things I'm trying to figure out while I'm out here in Phoenix.
it's crazy. And I pride myself in being able to be at the forefront of building it to a degree where it's much more professional. But also it takes the whole community to be able to step up too.
Right.
Being able, like having a guy like Anwar to be able to, he does some other shows on his own too. And then, these younger guys on the scene, they're not as polished comedians, but like if there's a level of production value with the shows that you do, you have stages where people can develop, and they'll just accidentally develop. I developed in a city when it was underdeveloped.
Yeah.
I was able to get a lot of good material from it. So like, you can only imagine how strong the city could be when we have well-produced shows.
And the scene here now is so good.
It's much better than it was. You've been here a number of times over my career, and it's never been stronger.
That's like
it also has a bunch of weak motherfuckers too, but every scene has that.
And you cannot catch them on the Genuine show tonight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, shit. This is going to come out tomorrow. Is there anything you want to plug?
I'll be, if anybody watches in Denver, I'll be in Denver I'll be in Fort Collins on June 9th on Monday, and then on Wednesday next week I'll be in Denver.
Where are you at?
The Denver show is on Wednesday at Ratio, and then at Fort Collins it's a what's it called? Copper Muse Distillery.
Okay.
And I'm headlining that. Yeah. That'll be cool. Yeah. So any Fort Collins people come through, and then June 30th in Los Angeles at the Comedy Store. This Week Sucks Tonight in the Belly Room.
Boom. And I'm at Big Irish J on everything. It's the website. Coming up, I'm going to be at Tacoma Comedy Club, I think, end of this month. And then the following weekend, Spokane Comedy Club. I got Skyline in Wisconsin. I'll be at Brad Garrett's in Vegas. So go to bigirishj.com. And, thanks, brother.
Appreciate it.
it.
Good shit.
Yeah, that was good.